Commissioner Chapin, Morano, our inland wetlands agent, Marla Butts, and First Selectman St. Ange as our moderator. So without further delay, I think we'll just start. So good evening. My name is George O'Neill. I'm chair of the Thompson Inland Wetlands Commission. I'm calling the January 12th, 2021 meeting of the Inland Wetlands Commission to order at 7 p.m. Due to the coronavirus pandemic, this meeting is being held electronically using the teleconferencing application called Zoom. So we are operating under the following procedures. The session is being recorded both for audio and visual content and is under the control of a Zoom host. This is Amy. To ensure sound quality, the default rule for this meeting is that everyone will remain on mute. Commissioners and staff will generally remain on mute except when speaking or voting, and will be generally keeping video of themselves on throughout the meeting. Applicants and members of the public should feel free to leave their video on or off. However, they will be asked to turn on their video when speaking. If video is not available for you, you will not be precluded from speaking at the appropriate time and may listen to the meeting. During this meeting, everyone is asked to state their name each and every time they speak. Please use the raise your hand feature to let me know, or the host know of in the meeting if you have raised your hand or you want to speak. Members of the public may only speak during the portion of the agenda established for citizens' comments on agenda items. For individuals representing applicants, permittees, and violators listed in the agenda and their respective representatives, if you are speaking at this meeting and have a document to submit to the Commission, which was not distributed in advance of the meeting with the rest of the materials, please indicate that you wish to submit the document. You will need to hold it up to the camera so the Commission and all members of the public may view it. In addition, you'll be asked to email a copy, an electronic version, to our inland wetlands agent at wetlands@thompsonct.org. Marla will include it in the permanent records of the Commission. If a member of the public tries to communicate outside of the citizens' comments on agendas items portion of the meeting, or if any person creates an audio or video disruption, they may be manually ejected by the Zoom host from the meeting upon my request. So as a chair, my job is to basically manage the meeting and a few other things. And we certainly try to maintain a level of informality, but we do have to maintain order, and that's for the benefit of everyone. So with those formalities out of the way, my name is George O'Neill. I don't believe I'll be repeating that very many times because I think you've heard it a few already. I think we will commence the roll call. So with that, I'll ask that each chairperson, or I should say each member, acknowledge when I call their name. Diane Chapin. Diane. Okay, we'll go back to Diane. Fran Morano.
Present.
Charles Obert. The mic, I guess it's a classic challenge we always encounter. We have to remember to unmute our mics.
Yes, present. I'm having a little bit of problems with a new computer here.
Well, okay, we got you. Okay, so we have Commissioner Obert, Morano, Commissioner Chapin. I thought I saw it in there. Unmute your phone, maybe. Okay, well, George O'Neill is chairman. I guess we don't have Commissioner Chapin. Also, Marla, are you here?
I'm here.
Okay, so Marla Butts is present, and I see we have Ashley Palms, our recording secretary.
I'm
okay,
here.
Diane. Diane, are you in? Are you here? Okay, well, apparently, I see her hand. I see we have Diane Chapin's phone indicated, but we can't hear her, so she must be having technical difficulties. But we do have 3 members, so we can conduct business. Moving on, appointment of alternates. There are no alternates. So we'll move on. The action on minutes of previous meeting, minutes of December 8th, 2020. Are there any amendments, revisions, or corrections? Charlie? Fran?
They look good to me.
All right, thank you.
George, Charlie over here. I'd say they look good as far as I was able to attend. I had bandwidth problem last month and got blocked off and couldn't get back on.
Okay,
So that's one of the reasons I don't have any video going too. But,
oh goodness. Well, you know, it's challenging, I think, and also I always try to remember that if I miss a meeting, I can always play it back, right? That's always out there. But in any case, I did review the minutes, and I could find nothing stood out as being inaccurate. So, without objection, the minutes will stand as read. And there's a copy here. Okay, the citizens' comments on agenda items. I'll give the citizens a chance to bring it up. I'm going to try to bring up my desktop here, share my screen so we can see the rest of this meeting. But I need the host to let me in. Amy? Well, while Amy's trying to let me share my screen, I will move on to the next item. First item is, and again, these documents have been posted on the internet, and you can download them or review them. WAA 20009, Hallett Merrick, 0 Plum Road, Assessors Map 85, Block 52, Lot 12. Construction of single-family home, septic system, and portion of home proposed in 100-foot upland review area, stamped received on 4/13/2020. Issued 1/4/2021. Legal notice to be published on 1/15/2021. End of appeal period 1/30/2021. Where do we stand on this one?
Marla Butt speaking. It was published on the 15th, and to date, I don't have any appeals.
George,
So there's no action by the commission required at this time.
Yes, Amy.
sorry, this is Amy St. Ange. Sorry, I was taking my dog outside.
Well, that's important. So absolutely.
I missed it. So you should be able to share the screen now.
No worries. That's a good, I always look after my puppies. I've got a new puppy here. So
And George, it's Diane Chapin. Can you hear me?
yes, I can. So welcome.
Perfect. I'm back on. I was there. I could hear you, but I couldn't respond. So hopefully that's resolved.
Excellent. For the record, you were able to hear all the comments. Did you have an objection to any of what we said as far as the minutes concerned for the prior meeting?
No, I'm all set. I've reviewed those, all set with those.
Excellent. All right. So can you see my minutes on my desktop here?
George, we did, but it's gone now. This is Amy St. Ange.
Oh my goodness. Let me try again. Sorry for all the technical difficulties today. That's strange. Hold on. Let me just, how's that?
It's not up on my
Nope.
screen yet.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing it and redo it, I guess, is what I have to do here. Well, hopefully I can get this right. I think I would by now share.
There you go.
All right. Thank you. I'll just leave it where it is. We have 90 slides tonight, so there's a lot to cover. So on this item, any further action required, or we're going to continue with this to the next item, Marla?
No action required.
Okay. So this is the detail, right?
Correct. There was a modification for the septic system, and that's what we're waiting for in part. And also, they had the soil scientist take a look at the improvements that might be needed for the roadway, and there wasn't any wetlands in or around the improvements that might need to be done on Plum Road. So that was another reason for holding it up, but it was determined that there isn't any. If it subsequently turns out that they do have to do something, they'll have to come in with a new application for any changes on Plum Road. But at this juncture, there doesn't appear to be, just for the house and the septic.
Okay. Thank you. Moving on to the next item. Let me see here. Agenda item 2, WAA 20031 Madison Avenue Investments LLC, 0 Madison Avenue, Assessors Map 103, Block 31, Lot 6K, Subdivision Lot 11, driveway and grading for a new single-family home, stamped received on 8/3/2020. Additional information requested 12/28/2020. Where do we stand on that one?
Okay, so yesterday I received the email letter from Norm Tybo regarding the inquiry that I had, the letter that I had sent to Mr. Meehan, which is the next page down. And I asked for an explanation as to why the driveway that was subject of the application, wetlands agent approval application, was partially built prior to the submission of the application, and to the extent that the grading and filling work within the 100-foot upland review area that was still proposed to occur. And if you scroll down to the next screen, page 13, that's the diagram of the as-built. And I got a letter yesterday electronically that said that they had previously determined that there was no need for cross culverts. That was one question that I had asked back in November. But then in December, I asked for the explanation of why he did the work. And the response is, it is our understanding that there are questions as to why Mr. Meehan began constructing this driveway in the first place. This material was put in place as driveways for lots 2 and 6 were constructed, and there was significant amount of excess material on site. Mr. Meehan incorrectly assumed that this material could be placed along the driveway of lot 11 in conjunction with the road construction, just as he had excavated the material for lots 2 and 6. Mr. Meehan was aware that wetland permits were required for the homes, and the placement of fill was not an intentional action to create a violation. On this particular lot, the only thing that's regulated by the commission is the driveway. The house and the septic system are outside of the upland review area. The remaining work on the driveway will be limited to top dressing the existing drive with some gravelly material to provide a wearing surface. We do not anticipate that it will result in a greater driveway footprint than what is already currently in place. To that, I responded today to Norm Tybo, the professional engineer who sent me this letter yesterday, that I was in receipt of his letter. I will review the response with this commission and at tonight's meeting, and would render decision on the application in the next week. So I didn't see any problem with the existing driveway that has already been built. This is technically an after the fact permit. And I was a little concerned that Mr. Meehan had gone ahead and partially built the driveway when I felt he should have known that he needed to obtain an approval first. But at this juncture, it makes no sense. So my recommendation would be that I issue the approval for this with the understanding that exactly as he stated in his letter, the extent of work that's still to be completed would be limited to top dressing the existing driveway with some gravelly material to provide a wearing surface. So I would most likely like to issue an approval with that condition on it, unless you have an objection.
All right, so in this case, I guess I'd like to hear what the other commissioners have to questions to you on this and or comments.
Commissioner Chapin, I'm fine with that, Marla.
This is Commissioner Obert. It seems fine to me, if I understood correctly, that this is approximately where they had envisioned to put it anyway, but they just did it ahead of schedule.
Yeah, he did it so that he could bring fill back into the rear part of the lot for the house construction, which is not subject to the commission's regulation because it's not in an upland review area.
Okay, thank you. I have no problems.
I'm curious, the construction that they've completed and what's anticipated, Marla, do you anticipate it will pose any danger to the wetlands and the work they've done as How intrusive is it? Is it something of a grave concern,
No.
or is it pretty routine?
No, this is pretty routine. The existing driveway embankment's been there. It looks to be a couple of years already. He probably built it when he was excavating for the main road because he had a lot of fill that he had to take out of the cut as it comes down to Route 193. So I think he just took advantage in his mind of using it up in the lots that he was going to be building. The site was fairly stable when I went. It was a little rutted, but there was no evidence of any sediment moving off site or causing any problem to the wetlands.
This is Commissioner
So,
Morano.
no, I don't.
Marla,
Go ahead,
Yes.
Fran.
is this something that they were supposed to have come in and gotten a permit to do, or no?
Yes, it was.
Do we set a precedent if we just say, okay, never mind?
Each site has their own set of facts and factors. I mean, the only option would be to deny it.
No, I don't think they
and
have to deny it, but maybe
There's no
they,
basis for denial.
yeah, but maybe they have to fill in the application and stuff as they have not done, but after the fact do it. So that all our ducks
Well,
are, I'm thinking of setting a precedent for other people in town who look to that and see that as something that was just overlooked.
Yes, and
So
I think that's, but I can't think of anything other than when Mr. Meehan comes before the commission again, should he come before the commission again, that because he has this history, you might want to view it with more care as to what kinds of conditions you put on his approvals.
That sounds reasonable. Charlie over here. I'm looking carefully at the elevation points on this map, and thank you for enlarging it. It looks like it's fairly flat. I mean,
It is.
so I don't see any problems with erosion, even though, or runoff, even though the wetlands are closer to the driveway than yes, he should have had a permit before he put it in there. I agree also with Fran. I think we should probably at least make a note of the fact that we were less than pleased and would appreciate it if he not take any actions on properties that don't have permits in the future.
Or just have him fill out the paperwork he would have had to fill out to do that.
Well, he's actually already filled out the paper. He's already paid for the application fee. The only thing is when I went out to look at it, I noticed that the driveway looked like it had already been roughed in several years ago. Not completed, but roughed in.
Right. All right. So he's done everything. He had all the paperwork was in order. That's fine.
That's correct. Well, it's not in order because now it's after the fact, so I would issue it as an after the fact permit with a condition on the extent of what additional work he might be allowed to do.
Okay. So in this case, do we require a vote or?
No, I was just seeking your input to see what your
Good.
opinion was on it because it was an after the fact approval.
Okay.
So I will issue the approval in the next week or so.
Right. Thank you. It sounds like, environment is not threatened, although the procedures should be more closely adhered to. All right. Moving on to the next item. Agenda item 3, let me think here. I think I've jumped. WAA 20033 Madison Avenue Investments LLC. 0 Madison Avenue, Assessors Map 103, Block 31, Lot 6R. Subdivision Lot 18, septic system for new single-family home stamped received on 8/12/2020. Additional information requested regarding status of drainage easement and stormwater management basin.
Marla Butt speaking. This is Lot 18, and if you scroll down to the next page, you will see what my concerns have been about this stormwater management basin. And in response to this email, yesterday I received a letter via email from Norm Tybell, the professional engineer for Killingly Engineering, but also lists himself as partner. So I'm assuming he's a partner in the LLC now. And he says they've determined, our survey determined that the total basin footprint is nearly identical to the basin as designed. And the bottom of the basin is larger in area. This as-built condition provides a larger storage volume and an increased water quality volume than originally designed. It is my professional opinion that the basin exceeds the design parameters originally approved by the town of Thompson and the Wetlands and Planning and Zoning Commissions, and exceeds the water quality volume as outlined in section 7.4.1 of the 2004 Connecticut Stormwater Quality Manual. So that was one issue with this lot. The house is being proposed. If you're looking at the screen now with the yellow markings, the house is located above and to the left of this basin. And that's part of the work is in the upland review area. So I wanted to get straightened out about this drainage system and the drainage easement. So the second issue that came up was the drainage easement. And apparently the drainage easement had already been filed in the land records last January. And if you scroll down to page 19 of the Zoom documents,
In there.
that is
okay.
the email that I sent to Amy St. Ange, asking for a review by the town's legal counsel. Amy did send it to Rich Roberts, Attorney Rich Roberts, and he came back saying that, well, it is an easement, but there were some gray areas in it. And he offered, and she agreed, that he should write a revised drainage easement. That revised drainage easement did come in to the office. And I have had communication with Mr. Tybo, the PE, who's also listed as a partner on his letter. And I sent him this afternoon an email saying, as discussed, attached to this email for review and discussion with Mr. Meehan is a copy of the email from First Selectman St. Ange sent to Mr. Meehan this morning regarding revised language for the drainage easement on lot 18. I've attached a PDF of the easement just in case it doesn't come through forward in the mail. My issuance of the approval is dependent upon the filing of an acceptable drainage easement on the land records. And I think I included the original easement that was filed on the land records, can be found on page 20. And this was the easement that Attorney Roberts reviewed and determined that it wasn't probably detailed enough to keep it out of some question. And the easement that he provided is double spaced at about 2.5 pages. So as soon as the easement is reviewed by Mr. Meehan and his attorneys, I've asked them to send it to me. And once I get a copy of that and confirm that it's acceptable language, once it's been filed on the land records, then I would issue the approval for the construction of the home on the lot. Because then all the issues regarding the drainage easement and the stormwater drainage system that exists on the lot will have been addressed. So there's no
Okay.
action required by you at this time. I'm just waiting for a response from them.
I see. Any questions by commissioners? All right, I hear none. Moving on to the next item. It's WAA 20040, Laura Hauser, 31 Center Street, Assessor's Map 116, Block X, Lot 8, reconstruction of a single-family home in 100-foot upland review area for Little Pond. Stamp received by the town clerk on 9/18/2020 and 10/5/2020 by the Wetlands Office, on hold pending receipt of revised plans.
Marla Budd speaking. So on December 30th, the Northeast District Department of Health issued an approval for a septic system on this lot. This was a piece of property that the cottage was demolished. As you'll see, the community boat launch, that was a subject of action by the commission a couple of years back because there was an argument between the prior owner of this house is being replaced and the Little Pond Improvement Association, Inc. regarding the property boundary line. And that was subsequently resolved. And then the cottage was sold to Miss Hauser. And she decided she wanted to totally rebuild the cottage. And to do that, she needed to replace the septic system. And you can see the septic system is towards the lake. And so when NDDH issued their approval of the design on the 30th, I noticed that the plan that was referenced in the approval was dated revised to 12/3/2020, and I did not have a hard copy of that plan. A hard copy of that plan has just come in. That came in yesterday. So I will be issuing an approval for this property for the construction of the home and the septic. As you see here, there is no work in the water. There is no work by the silt fence. You can see that all the work is in the upland review area, but it is very close to Little Pond.
Thank you. Commissioners, questions or comments? Seems like Little Pond's a popular place to build homes.
Mhm.
All right, no further comments there. We'll move on. The next item is WAA 20043, Gary Rawson, Zero Loggy Road, Assessors Map 141, Block 17, Lot E. Construction of a new single-family home in the 100-foot upland review area for Aquatic Reservoir. Stamped received on 10/29/2020. Under review pending additional information.
So I am waiting on the NDDH approval. According to a letter that I sent back in November, I had asked for the NDDH's approval and also any response to the natural diversity database, since it was in an area of concern. And I'm still waiting on the information to come back on those two items.
Still waiting. Thank you. Moving on to the next item, which would be pending new applications. The first here is WAA 20047, Town of Thompson, Riverside Drive for Route 200 to Rawson Avenue, map 61, 63, and 174. Reconstruction of sidewalks in DOT right-of-way received on 12/21/2020 under review.
On page 31 of the Zoom documents is a memo that I got from Janet Blanchette. She's out of state at the moment, so she can't respond to this. This is a request for a wetlands agent approval because all the work on the sidewalks from Rawson Avenue down to Route 200 are in portions of which are in an upland review area. So the town has received a grant to replace those sidewalks. And if you go down to page 32, you can see where all of the sidewalks, page 32 and 33 of the Zoom documents contains the location of all the sidewalks that are going to be replaced.
I have 32 up, and we can see the relative proximity. It looks like you've got the railroad here. Hit something. Can you still see me or not? I think I hit the wrong
Nope, I
button.
see you, but I can't see the document.
Sorry, I hit the wrong button. I'll get it back here in a second. All right, how's that? So here's our railroad, I think. Or not. Yeah, that's the railroad.
Yep.
The town hall is over here.
The town hall will be on the lower screen, lower half of that screen,
Oh, on the other side.
page 32.
Okay, I'm on
It
page.
says town hall.
Yeah,
Just scroll down a little bit.
down here. There it is. All right, there's the town hall.
And if you go to page 33, the lower half of page 33, there's a reference to Thatcher Road,
There's 33.
just, yeah, the lower half.
on the lower
So
half.
just to the north of, or just to the left of Thatcher Road, you see the house that's there on the hill.
Right.
It's an apartment building. Yes, that one. Just to the left of that is a water course or an intermittent flow that comes down from the school system, the school complex, and goes into a some kind of structure there at about station 57. Would be about station 56 plus 80 left. When you're reading station numbers, you read them, you stand in the direction of the increasing numbers. So if you're standing at station 56, looking at station 57, the location of the problem is at station 56 plus 80. These are 100 feet apart or 100 meters apart. I'm not sure whether it's meters or feet, but it would be at about station 56 plus 80 left. And
100
I
feet.
had sent an email. Yes. So I had sent a concern about this drainage problem. There's been flooding that during really, really heavy rains, the water jumps the channel and goes into Thatcher Road, just to the uphill portion of that house that's there. And it floods down into the street. And it appears as though, after discussing it with Janet, she said that that Thatcher Road, as well as the two drainage structures to the north of the intermittent stream from the school grounds that drains into it, she discussed the problem with Rich Benoit, the Public Works Director. She said, as you're aware, these drainage structures are owned by the state and not the town. During our MISRAC meeting, Ken mentioned that the town had previously that's Ken Beausoleil, had reached out previously to Connecticut DOT to ask them to maintain their system. Rich reported that the pipe is clogged and the structure behind the sidewalk's grate is also prone to clogging. Both these situations cause flooding and icing over parts of Route 12. Rich also confirmed that the town has reached out to DOT, making them aware of the problem and asking them to repair it. The proposed project consists of sidewalk replacement. The only drainage improvement proposed is to replace the catch basin tops, which is in a state-owned right-of-way. However, they acknowledge that it might be beneficial if the sidewalk project can help reduce the drainage problems in this area. They were going to look into seeing what they might be able to do. However, I've said to her back, at this juncture, I think for public safety concerns, DOT should be notified in writing of the problem, a request to review the appropriate action by them to address the drainage problem, and to the extent that it exists within the DOT right-of-way. I would be asking the commission if they feel that this should be a condition in approval or not. So I've talked it over with Amy, and I think what I'm going to do is be drafting a letter for her signature to send to DOT, requesting them to at least clean their system and look at whether or not they need to do any maintenance work on it, but it would not be part of the sidewalk project. We don't want to take away monies from the sidewalk project. The monies come from DOT. And if you scroll down to page 37 of the Zoom documents, it lists that the total cost of commitment is $2 million. It's a lot of work. And I don't think erosion and sediment control is going to be much of a problem because there isn't much space between the curbing and the sidewalks in most areas. And the plans show putting in what we used to call, it's not a dirt bag, it's an insert. If you look at page 36 of the Zoom documents, there is a picture on the right-hand side of you got to shrink it down a little bit. You want to go to the right of that.
Where are we going here? How far?
There you go. Keep going. You're almost there.
Right there?
Now scroll right there, right at the, near the bottom of the screen. Okay, stop.
Right?
Is the insert that goes into the catch basin to catch sediments that might be washing off in through the grate and into the catch basin. That's the primary source of control, erosion and sediment control during construction. That's a common technique. I don't like using them, but in this case, that's the only thing that they really
So
can use.
who's responsible for, if I could ask, who's responsible for cleaning these things? So SAC.
The contractor who is doing the construction work would have to do the maintenance for that. And they periodically get pulled, either replaced or the sediment removed, and they call it a silt sack, as you can see, a little label there.
Yeah.
But they require maintenance because they can easily clog if you have a lot of fine sediments. But they do prevent the stormwater drainage system from getting clogged with sediment and reduce the amount of turbidity being released from the site.
Right. Okay, so
Charlie,
Good.
Obert.
Charlie, go ahead.
That silt sack and catch basin would be in the street or would be before the sidewalk on the uphill side, or how is that positioned? I couldn't see that on the.
That's the catch basins that are there now will be the same catch basins that will be there afterwards. They're not replacing the catch basins. They're just replacing the tops of the catch basin. So all the catch basins are located in the pavement area for Route 12. There's none that are off pavement. Sometimes you find them off pavement, like in a shoulder, in a swale, but these are all in the pavement for the roadway. So they would have to be maintained. Otherwise, if they clog, it would cause street flooding.
Excellent. Okay, so I think it's a lot of information. Commissioners, questions or comments?
My only comment is that I certainly hope that we don't have the state come back after the sidewalks are in and rip them up so that they can fix something that should be fixed first.
Yeah. Well, it's precious. Sidewalks are something that we certainly like to see more of, and if we're being funded, that's certainly important, I think, for a lot of reasons, right? For our further development of the downtown and access, foot access, which is, many parts of Thompson is inaccessible. So public access by foot is certainly important. So is there, your recommendation is you're going to draft a letter and proceed with that? Is that what you plan to do?
Yes, I'll draft a letter and then I would draft an approval for it, a
Fine.
wetlands agent approval
Okay.
for the proposed work.
I've heard no objections to doing so. So thank you for bringing that up, and we can move on to the next item. All right. The next application is DEC 221001, Jason Roach, 23 Center Street, Assessors Map 16, Block X, Lot 9. Replacement of existing stone deck and stairs in the 100-foot upland review area for Little Pond for use permitted as of right. Maintenance and enjoyment of residential income of a home, stamped received on 1/5/2021. I'll move to that page. Any more with that? Permit as of
42.
right. I'm sorry, 42.
There you go. Yeah. So that's not too far from Laura Hauser's proposed home, just up the street. And if you scroll down to page 44, and I believe Jason was on the Zoom meeting. I don't know if he's
Hi.
still here.
Yep, I am here.
Okay. Okay, so Jason has described in the application form that he wants to replace the existing fieldstone patio and stairs that had fallen into disrepair. And he wants to use a skid steer. What is that? A skid steer? What is
It's
that?
a bobcat.
Okay, bobcat. All right. to remove the existing patio materials and haul it away and replace it with a layer of gravel and a new stone patio. So if you scroll down to page 45 of the Zoom documents, you can see the location of his home. And that is actually, it looks like you're next to Laura Hauser's house.
Yeah, I can't wait
Cottage.
till she gets, I can't wait till she gets something built there. It's a mess right now.
So if you scroll down to page 47, you can see the location, generic location of the patio that he wants to replace in relation to the house. And then he has provided 2 photographs on page 48. And Jason, you might want to explain this.
Yeah, so
what we're
it's
looking.
sure. So that the house is on the left, and there's field stones, and you can see grass has started to grow between them. And if you scroll in, you can see they're all heaving and unlevel. And I have little kids that run around and trip on them and stub their toes. So just want to remove, pull up those stones, just finish, just make it level, to the extent it's heaved or there's roots there, and then just replace what's there with new stones. I didn't think it was, meaningful work or controversial, but, given that you can see water in the picture, I thought it made sense to do the right thing and come to this meeting with it.
Excellent.
George, could you scroll up just a little bit? Because I think you can see Laura Hauser's property
Okay, hold on.
in the background of this photograph.
Up here to the left or right?
So
That's
on the left,
Laura Hauser's property.
yeah, the wood fence that you can see on the top left.
Over here? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's the property line.
Over here.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. And then the next picture down is just a different view from the opposite
Yeah.
direction.
Correct.
Was this the awning? This aluminum?
That's a dock. So
Oh,
it's gonna.
it's out of the ice.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Commissioners,
So-
questions, or what do we have to do here?
Well, it's a request for maintenance and enjoyment of residential home. And since he's not changing any grades and it's a small amount of work, he could have come in with a wetlands agent approval and paid $110 and I would have issued the approval, but I suggested that he come in as a request for maintenance and enjoyment of residential homes since it is such a small amount of work. And as long as there's no siltation going into the lake, I don't see any reason why this shouldn't be allowed as maintenance and enjoyment of residential home.
Okay.
The aerial extent of this is how much, Jason?
It's less than 600 square feet.
Yeah.
Okay. Commissioners, questions or comments or?
As I understand it, he's not going to be doing any digging with that Bobcat. He's just going to use it to pile these flat field stones in to move them out of the way. So as Marla says, it doesn't look like there's going to be any risk of erosion or disturbance or changing of the elevation. And since that's the case, I don't have any problems with it.
Okay. Commissioner Roach, Morano. Well, it looks pretty straightforward to me. Certainly want to maintain it, and tripping
That
and
looks
falling.
fine.
Yeah. Thank
Very
you.
small project.
Yeah. So yes, absolutely. I think we should go forward or allow it to proceed. What further action do we have to vote on this,
You
or
need-
is it?
Is this a
Yes, you do. You
declaratory
need a
ruling?
motion to approve.
Okay.
Okay, we
Yes,
need
it
a
is.
motion.
Use permitted as of right. Declaratory ruling.
I'll make a motion that we approve this. And I don't have the number.
Okay. Okay. Motion made. Do we have a second?
I'll
Commissioner
second.
Chapin, I'll second. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, I think that was Fran.
Okay. Commissioner. Who seconded? Who's the second? Just so we have it for the
I
record.
think it was
Fran.
Morano?
Fran. Okay, Fran seconded it. Discussion or questions further? Okay, no further discussion. Let's go with a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those
Aye.
opposed? Okay, all were in favor, no in opposition. The motion carries. Approval.
Great. Thank
George,
you
I'll
very much.
bring this paperwork to you within the next week. But Jason, you can move forward with your project.
Thank you.
Even before you get the paperwork.
Thanks.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay?
Thank you. All right. Applications received after agenda was published. Looks like we have one. IWA 21002, Lisa M. Audette, 0 Robbins Road, map 87, block 53, lot 8A-1. Grading and construction of stone ford across an intermittent watercourse, wetlands to develop and an access for pedestrian and tractor use associated with the construction of a proposed new daycare facility received by town clerk on 1/8/2021 under review.
So on this one, you're receiving it, since it's actually an individual permit, you're only receiving it today. No decision can be made on it, at least not until next meeting. Provided with the Zoom documents is the stormwater management report, which you can review at a later time between now and the next meeting. I included the entire report. You might find it interesting, but this is how hydraulic evaluation should be done. And if you scroll down to, I'm trying to figure out which page it is. Here. Oh, I guess I don't have the site plan in there. I'm sorry. Next meeting, I'll forward you the site plan between now and the next meeting, and I'll include it in the Zoom documents next time. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be in here.
You just have a, I don't know what you call this, a proximity diagram maybe showing existing parking sheet flow from site. Buyer
It's
retention.
right now it is an undeveloped piece of property, and she wants to build a daycare. And as part of the daycare, she wants to be able to have the children be able to walk across this intermittent water course, as well as take a tractor across for mowing, and be able to have the children explore areas across this intermittent water course. And so when you get the plans, you'll see what I'm talking about. It didn't make sense to put in a crop. Go ahead.
That's Diane. You did email us a full set. I see child care facility, site development plan, J&D civil engineering. You did send us that before the meeting in an email.
Okay.
Well, we can pull it up
Sorry,
if you want
I
to look at it.
neglected not to.
I'll pull it up here if you want. Just give me the time.
Yeah, it looks, give me 1 second here. See if I can tell you when she sent it, but Wetlands agents. She sent it January 8th.
Okay, give me 1 second here. January 8th. It's W1002. So, actual data, Zoomer documents, planchette, town hall, Friday the 8th, 8.5
Yeah, if you
megabytes.
scroll down, once you find it, I found it, there's a couple PDFs and
There's 4
first one I
PDFs.
opened-
Yeah,
yeah, the ones that says 20258 full set Audette.
okay. There it is.
I haven't
That-
opened all the other ones. So I don't know what's on there, but that one seemed to have plans on it.
Do you see it on my screen?
Yep.
Okay, there it is.
So
Magic.
the daycare is up towards Robbins Road. That's the gray box that you see there. Septic system's near the intersection.
Over here?
And then she wants to have a pathway
Is that here?
that goes down to the intermittent water course that has some wetlands associated with it. You follow the proposed grading. So the only regulated activity is grading in the upland review area and the development of this ford that's located at by the intermittent water course to the left of this in this screen.
That-
You see the 48-inch.
I'm looking here.
You see
There's a
the
busy
culvert?
diagram. So I see grassy swale, which is here.
Nope. Go left. Go left. Go
Over here?
left. Go left. Go left.
Okay.
That's grading in the upland review area. And
Okay.
continue going left and you'll see, keep going left.
Oh, over here.
No, you're going right. Left is the other
Oh, I'm sorry.
direction.
Your other left. I'm at the edge of my.
See intermittent water course?
Where is it relative to the daycare?
Just to the left of
It's-
your red
It's
circle.
to the left.
To the left of it.
It runs perpendicular.
Keep going, keep going,
Like
keep going with your
underneath-
hand. Keep going, keep going, keep going.
Over
keep going.
here.
Yeah,
Okay.
intermittent water course.
All right. I'm a little slow.
So
some
she wants to ford the intermittent water course. Once she gets to the other side, it's fairly flat. So the only regulated activity is the grading work in the upland review area to establish a travel way to get down to the intermittent water course, and then putting in a stone ford to go across the intermittent water course. She doesn't need to do any grading on the other side because it's fairly flat.
So here's where the Ford will
Yep, right there.
Okay, right
Yep.
there. All right, that's where the area is. There's a sugar shack here and drain. There's drains here. Meadow, trees, upland review area. Okay. Okay, and we're just receiving it
So it's-
today.
Yes, that's correct, but it's pretty minor work by comparison. The only question will be is looking at erosion and sediment controls during construction of that cut in the hillside. How to prevent it from migrating. So that it only came in Friday, so I haven't even had a chance to review the plans.
Okay. All right, any questions? All right, then hearing none, we can move on to the next item. So is this the only item that was received after agenda was published?
That's correct.
All right. A lot of details here. Okay, let me get rid of that one and go back to the other documents. Let me find out where I'm at. Okay, here we go. I'm advancing my, okay, permit extensions, changes,
None.
none. And agenda item violations and pending enforcement actions. We have a cease and restore order. Violation 20003, Scott Josie, 637 East Thompson Road, Assessors Map 154, Block 5, Lot 14. Filling of wetlands and work within 100-foot upland review area, issued 3/5/2020. Hearing and decision on 3/10/2020. Soil scientist report submitted 5/10/2020, approved, and to be work completed by 9/15/2020.
So today I went out and took a look at the site to see if there had been any changes. Back in the end of October, I had sent an email to Mr. Josie with a CC to Roger Gibson who was a soil scientist who developed up the remediation plan. And he wrote me back on the 29th of October that said, looks like the stone across the path filled the crossing. The design was a 12-inch deep swale with 6-inch deep depth of compacted stone on fabric. This would permit overland flow during higher flow periods along with minor discharge through the stone pore areas. He said he was going to talk to Scott to suggest the removal of some excess stone in this area to prevent and permit managed overland discharge across the path. It doesn't look like there's been any changes in the path at all. It still is at the same grade as the surrounding land. So I'm going to need to get in touch with Mr. Josie to find out, what happened between his communication with Mr. Gibson, who is the person who developed up the remediation plan, and find out why he has not created a swale across there, a stone swale, And it appears as though he's driving a lot of vehicles over it, over that access way. So I'm not sure there doesn't seem to be a problem with elevation of water on each side. It looks to be equal. So whatever is happening is working, but during a high storm event, I don't know how the waters will flood back and forth. There was supposed to be a swale that crosses the driveway. He probably doesn't have that, because then he'd have to, when he drives over it with whatever he's been driving over it with, it would create more of a bump, a dip to go over. But I'll let you know more about it after I speak with him in between now and next meeting.
Thank you. Questions, anyone? All right, moving on to the next item. Violation 20013, Adrienne Martin and Joseph Fagan, 208 Linehouse Road, Assessors Map 36, Block 70, Lot 4. Clear cutting of trees and earth moving work in 100-foot upland review area. Notice of violation issued 5/14/2020 to remove the slash, pull back the soil along the eastern property boundary to a grade no steeper than 3 to 1, 3 feet horizontal and 1 foot vertical by 6/1/2020, and immediately following the completion of the work, seed and mulch all disturbed soils. 7/14/2020 granted extension to 10/1/2020 for completion of work. Where's this stand?
I've stopped by the house at least once, and he wasn't home, and only one of his children was home. So I have not been able to look at that site. I need to touch base with him to somehow set up a time to meet. So I don't have any new information on that. But whatever it is, it's not very large of a violation if it's still there. Looks like his backyard is now fairly stable. And all the wood that he cut is all gone.
So some improvement. Any questions by commissioners? Okay, hearing none. I'll move on to the next item. Violation 20033, Jennifer Burlingame and Robert Limu Jr., 480 Aquatic Town Farm Road, Assessors Map 158, Block 20, Lot 8K. Filling/earth moving within 100-foot upland review area and possibly within delineated wetlands. Notice of violation issued on 8/6/2020 to cease any further earth moving work by August 20th, 2020. Provide an explanation for the earth moving work and the reason why approval was not sought prior to the initiation of work within 100 feet of delineated wetlands. How's that coming along?
This was left where I had sent an email to Jennifer Burlingame trying to set up a time to meet out on site, and I never got a response to my emails. So at this juncture, what I'm thinking what I might do is see if I can gain access to viewing the property now that the leaves are off the trees and there's no snow on the ground, viewing it from the DeRocher property, from the back side. And I may be able to make a decision by looking there rather than trying to see it from Aquatic Town Farm Road. But I suspect that if there is a filling that was occurring, it was not very significant or very large at all.
I see. I think
so that will have to wait until.
I see. I think we looked at this, didn't we, one day? Or am I confusing this with another property?
Yes, we did. From the street.
From the street, yes.
But no, we looked at this one from the street, and you really couldn't tell too well. So I know that Mr. DeRocher's property backs up to their property. So and now that the leaves are off the trees, I might be able to see better what has happened. And it may be something that you might not want to pursue anything on anyways.
Right.
If it's all stable and there's very little indication that there was much of a change in the footprint from what was originally granted. They claim they didn't fill any wetlands. We'll see what the evidence will show.
I say commissioners' comments or questions on this?
A comment. If I recall correctly, their explanation was that a delivery truck had difficulty turning around, and And as I recall, they're on the fringe of the wetlands with that area, but they really, I mean, they're in the review area, but they're not into the wetlands itself. What Marla just said,
That's what
if it looks like there's
that's
no,
what they claimed.
yeah, then it should be done.
And of course, Mr. DeRocher was claiming that he was very familiar with the property and he claimed that he knew that they filled it. So, you know, it's one where it's going to be based upon the evidence that I can collect.
Right.
So I'll make one more try, and if I can't get it clarified, then if it's all stable, it's going to be my advice not to pursue anything on it.
Yeah, it would certainly be helpful if they would make available the opportunity to review it in more detail. If in fact they did nothing, then it should be a moot point. You know,
Yeah.
Perhaps we should even consider
I'll try to-
finding a mechanism to compel their cooperation.
Yeah. Well, if it is a violation, it's not very large.
Okay.
And if you recall at the time that it was called in, it was at a time when they were complaining about Mr. DeRocher's property and the activities that he was doing on that, and everything seems to have quieted down since then.
Okay, so maybe there's some balance in this process. All right, no further questions. I guess we'll, as you recommend, we'll pen this for next meeting and see what happens between now and then.
Right.
Thank you. Moving on to the next item, which is other business. Well, we were able to complete our activities with just a minute after 8, at least mostly violations. So budget 21 to 22.
If you go to page 79, that's where the instructions are given,
Oh, goodness.
right there.
How's Orla? Is she
She's
well?
good. She's
Good.
fine. Yeah,
So-
she recovered from her COVID without really any adverse effects, it seems.
That's good to hear. Okay. So what do you need from us on this? Or is this something you're going to be doing?
Well, no, I need your position. I would recommend just keeping the budget the same as it was last year. Because she says in the memo here, typically payroll increases will be entered in at a later date. However, should you wish to request other payroll increases outside of the annual union or cost of living increases, please do so. I'm not asking for any more hours. I do think at some point in time, the town's going to have to think about how they're going to bring on another wetlands agent, because at some point I will have to leave. I'm not leaving now, but I just turned 68 and I have to remember that these things have to be thought about. And at some point, maybe not this coming fiscal year, but you may want to be asking for some more monies. Because it would be best if you could have somebody trained. And so that you would have an overlap of some salary. But right now, it's not my plan to retire this coming year, but maybe the year after that. So just got a heads up on that.
Well, succession planning is certainly important for any organization, certainly a small town, and the continuity of thought and activity is certainly something that we should be mindful of. And you know, I see Amy's is here with us, so no doubt you've already talked to her about this. But if you haven't, you know, might want to explore further, and maybe we can find a solution. You know, someone could come on as a alternate commissioner or something to start transitioning as a means. There's a lot of ways to do it. All right.
Yeah, so I wanted to get through at least the records disposal that I've started and the regulation revisions, which need to be completed. Those are two important items that I want to make sure get done before I ever leave the town service. So we're a ways down the road with that.
Oh.
So if you have no objection, I will offer last year's budget as the same for this coming year.
I guess the question is, how far are we in the progress, and do we anticipate any, you know, changes? Are we on track for this year? for a reminder, if our treasurer,
I think Diane has the budget. It's kind of
So,
jumping the gun on it, but
I know we're out of sequence, but
she has
in
the
as much as this issue
balances.
came up, before you want to render a
well,
decision of what to do, I just want to get a feeling for it.
yeah, so, this past month, we expended, 149.54 for advertising, and it looks like another face shield. We still have available in our budget 14,119.22. So we have used 45.2% of the budget year to date.
And we're more than
So
45% through the
Diane,
year.
what is our balance on advertising? We had 500 budgeted. How much have we used so far?
Yep. Oh, wait a minute, that's a trick question. Hold on, I gotta pull the report up because I just have my cliff notes.
I guess my general observation is if we're on track with where we were in last year's budgeting, we don't anticipate any huge changes in the future, then it would make a lot of sense to submit, as you recommend, the prior year's budget. I still would like to see our drone capacity increased.
That would be under contract services, because I don't expect that we would have a drone here that we would contract with
Yeah.
somebody to do that.
Sure.
Do we have contract services? Professional services, we only have $100. It's
So
not a lot.
I think of some of these sites like the one we just spoke of, that's accessibility is somewhat limiting, and a drone could perhaps expand our view and help protect the wetlands, preserve our natural resources, and using that as a tool to expand our vision. So I would hope we could find room for that somewhere, but that's not a threshold matter. It's a aspirational one.
Well, so far, we've usually acquired things like equipment. We've done it under office supplies. So when we've bought, if you're looking at a small drone that's, $300 or $400, you probably can cover it in the existing budget. Basically, what I've been told is even though these are the amounts that are put in for each item, if you overrun one, they'll take it from the balance of whatever's still not
Okay.
unexpended.
All right.
So typically, you leave money on the table.
So we look at
When you
see where
don't
we are at the end of
have-
the budget fiscal year, and then we, if we have leftover, we get a drone.
That's usually what I end up doing.
All right. So we dig up the numbers. Go ahead, Charlie.
Yeah, it's just that the thought about leaving the budget as it has been. I'm not opposed to that, but I also want to know if the Board of Finance decides that they want to cut it.
Yeah.
I think we should be able to get a heads up and at least make a case that says, hey, we're trying to help out the town. We're already cutting it. So I'd feel real bad if we said leave it the same and they said we're knocking 15% or 20% off.
Feels like we haven't had an adequate amount of time to do this assessment. January 22nd is looks like her.
May I make a comment? This is Commissioner Morano.
Yes, Fran.
I think that, this last year has been unusual with all of the quarantining and pulling back. And I think it's probably meant that there hasn't been as many expenditures as in a normal year.
Yeah.
And if that persists through 2021, that's one thing. But if things get back and get real busy, that's obviously going to alter. So it might make sense to pad it by 10% or something to just, the worst they can do is say no.
Maybe we should advise Arla that we're unable to respond in a timely manner, and we'll seek an extension while we consider the detail. I mean, I guess I'd want to see all the breakdown, what we did, what we didn't do, and evaluate it. It feels like in the past we had more time. Or am I mistaken? I mean, today's
Usually
the
there hasn't
12th.
been a lot of time.
We have 10 days to decide without any prior information, or that was sent on, what day was that? Set 1/7. So it was sent just the end of the week. So over the weekend, which we didn't have the opportunity to study.
George, this is Amy St. Ange. I mean, your budget isn't so massive that if you wanted to take until your next meeting to
Right.
look over the information, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Just we want to give it
The biggest date is the first week in March where we have to present to the Board of Finance. So
okay.
you would have time.
Appreciate that, Amy. I just, it's kind of tight. I can last minute,
I totally agree. I can
stuff,
see where you're coming from.
at least we can ask. If you say no way, then no way. But, let's try to, if you don't ask, you don't get around here, I guess. And that's in life.
Okay. George, I tend to want to just quick point. I agree with what Amy just said. Our budget isn't very big.
Yeah.
There's no fat in it. And we're willing already to say we'll tighten things up and go status quo. That's my concern.
Right.
People each bring their own priorities to this budget process, and if all somebody's thinking about is cutting costs, then we cut services.
Right. And, to that point is if we talk about budgets, there are, to fulfill our obligations and to provide the oversight to the extent we can. I mean, we're on pretty thin ice, we've got limited resources as it is. And given some of the challenges we've encountered over the last couple of years, we want to have the resources if we need them. If we need to bring in some experts, we need to bring in something, we want to consider it. So I guess maybe we could have from a budget standpoint, year-to-date analysis of what we spent year-to-date, year-over-year. Well, most of us, I guess, have probably done budgets before. Can someone send us a package comparing what we did, true it up for the pro forma for the year end? So we take what we've done so far, extend it out on a pro forma basis on known expenses, and see where we come out. Then take a look at what we think we'll encounter in the following fiscal year. I get that the Board of Finance is, they've got their thing to do, and we're just a small piece of a large operation. So maybe we can do that and utilize our time. So if maybe, I don't know, that could be sent to all the commissioners so that at our next meeting, we can, weigh in a bit with some, more informed comment.
I can do that. I
Great.
can provide the monthly report that Diane normally gets, and that'll be included with the Zoom document for next meeting.
Let's take a look at it. I just want to feel like we've done
Yeah.
our diligence on this, and made it. It could very well be
Well,
that.
it's Diane. Oh,
I'm
sorry, George, go ahead.
I was going to stop for you. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I finally found the email that had the report for, that I've had condensed to my Cliff Notes for tonight's meeting.
Right.
And the advertising, you asked the question about advertising. We had allotted 600 for advertising in the budget. Year to date was 345.45. We encumbered another 130, and then there's 124.55 left. And so for the advertising, we've used 79.2% of our budget.
So we'll probably
79.2.
use that up
Wow.
by the end of the year.
They increased
That's for
the price.
advertising.
They increased the price. Good.
Yeah, that's for advertising, not the total budget, right?
Correct.
Correct. Total
Okay.
budget, we've only used 45.2%.
All right. So hopefully we can rebalance those things. I mean, that's what CFOs do or treasurers do. So, all right. So I think it's great. We all agree that let's get more information so we can make an informed discussion on this, and we can wrap it up. Sounds like Amy's on board with giving us a little bit more time. I would certainly let Orla know so she's aware, and with her favorable agreement, we can give it some thought. But all right. Next point for our meeting is, let me just scroll down here. Great. Okay. Permit conditions to ensure compliance, procedures to minimize water. Okay, there's 3 items here. So procedures to minimize water encroachments during shoreline construction.
On page 83, there's a letter from Daniel Blanchette suggesting conditions on permits that have work on the shoreline for consideration for future permits, given what had happened with Mr. Bear or Dr. Bear. So currently, we don't have any applications pending with any walls at the water's edge, but he is suggesting that you might want to have some language in advance for special conditions for those walls that are at the property lines, so that they are staked out by a land surveyor in such a way that can be measured. So he was suggesting putting in iron offsets, 5 or 10 feet offset from the high water mark, so it could easily be measured. That equipment could still gain access to it. But this is something I wanted to bring to your attention so that you could make a decision down the road. If you want, I can try to come up with some draft sample language for a condition for future use potentially.
Yeah, Commissioner Chapin, I definitely think we need something like this in place.
I agree.
Commissioner Robert,
I'll come up with some sample language and present it at next meeting so you can look at it.
is this something that would be appropriate also as you're rewriting our regs? Put it right in there.
That's possible, but if you don't step it out as a special condition, people lose it in the regs. So a lot of things are repeated in the conditions of the approvals and permits that are stated in the regs. I can look at that. I'll look at that and see if there's a place for it. But let me come up with the language first. And then we can talk about maybe putting it into the regs.
Great.
Is that
All
all
right.
right?
Works for me. Anyone else? Sounds like we have an agreement on these points. Okay, moving on to bonding options for the Inland Wetlands Commission. So we have a
All right. This I put on the agenda because recently with 363 Quatictown Farm Road, which was a gravel mining operation, and also what happened with Strategic Commercial Realty's gravel operation off of New Road, the Planning and Zoning Commission had bonds for those properties, and they released the bonds before the grounds were stable, in my professional opinion. At 363 Quacktown Farm Road, there was an event which I'll talk about in my wetlands agent report. But the bond had already been released by the Planning and Zoning Commission, and I think there's a need sometimes, perhaps if the commission cannot, the Wetlands Commission can't rely on the Planning and Zoning Commission to properly release their bonds, then it has the ability to put its own bond in. And this is what's the language currently exists in your regulations. And since I'm working on regulations anyways, the thought is that perhaps you might want to have this language modified or improved. So I also provided you the Planning and Zoning Commission's zoning regulation bonding regulations, and they are start on page 87. So I'm just bringing this to your attention because at some point you may decide you want to do bonding, and the problem becomes is why would the town, various commissions, bond for the exact same thing? If the Planning and Zoning Commission is bonding for soil erosion and sediment controls, then why would the Inland Wetlands Commission bond for it? Alternatively, maybe the Inland Wetlands Commission should be bonding for the soil and erosion controls. And maybe the Planning and Zoning Commission not, but they've already just redid their regulations, and they have a lot of requirements for various kinds of things, which the Wetlands Commission does not have. So I bring this item of bonding to you because I don't believe that the planning and that there's good coordination between myself and the zoning enforcement officer to ensure that when we have gravel mining operations, when is it the best time to release that bond? And it's really released by the Planning and Zoning Commission, not the zoning enforcement officer, although she makes a recommendation. And it may be that that there was a lack of understanding as to what constitutes stability of soil. Sometimes people go out to a site and they see the ground and it's not eroding because it's not raining, and think, well, this site looks stable. And I think that was the situation with 363 Aquatic Town Farm Road. But under the 2002 Connecticut Guidelines for Soil Erosion Sediment Control, stabilization is 100 plants per square foot, 6 inches high, if it's stabilized with grass cover. And that site has just a haze of grass. There's hardly any growth because they seeded it a little late. So I guess I want to get some direction from you as to where you stand on bonding, whether you want to consider requiring bonding, because we've never done it. In the 10 years I've been here, the Wetlands Commission has never bonded anything. And if you were going to be bonding, I would not, what type of bond would you have? Would you have a cash book bond or a surety bond? There's different kinds of bonds. And if you're going to change your regulations, right now, your regulations say that it can be a surety bond. I find cash book bonds are a lot easier, but they're more costly to the applicant or to the permittee. So these are things to think about, and wondered if you had any feedback or any comment.
Great. Thank you for bringing that up, Marla. Any commissioners have any thoughts? I actually asked Marla if she could look into this, especially given the points that she outlined and summarized for us. And all too often we look at what's the remedy. Now, in the case of Aquatic Town Farm Road, I guess that'll be in your report. You'll talk about what they did do. But what tools do we have? These are tools, and we want to make something that's commercial. I've been involved with both surety and cash security bonds for the last 30 or 40 years, especially in real estate. And if you're a commercial entity, that works. I mean, if you're a contractor, you have a bonding company. That's part of your business. You normally, most contractors will tell you who they are, and they probably know the underwriter. When you step back and say, what is a bond? We use the term collectively. And in as much as I'm an expert at insurance and an expert at risk management, I'll say that the words are very misleading. We say bond. Well, they use those terms both for employee theft, where employees steal from an employer. That's a fidelity bond. In other words, because under almost all insurance policies, theft by employees is not covered. So you have to have a separate policy to cover your employee theft of money or property. But here we have another thing called, and that's a two-party bond, right? I should say fidelity bonds are two parties involved. There's the insured, who's the owner of the business, and the insurance company. So if an employee steals from the employer, the insurance company steps in. However, in a surety, it's three parties. There's one party that requires the bond for performance by a third party who's going to do the work. And if they don't perform, the surety steps in to fund the performance. So it's a three-party agreement. In Europe, surety bonds almost don't exist. They're issued by banks. They're called letters of credit. I think many people may know what a letter of credit is. It's a guarantee. If someone requires a letter of credit for my performance, I have to go to my bank. They issue the letter of credit. It ties up my funds. If I don't deliver on what I'm supposed to do, the bank issues the check to the other party. So with that as sort of a backdrop and looking at the bonding tools we have here, I don't think we want to see ourselves in a situation where work has been done in the wetlands and we're left with a irreparable harm, or harm that could be very costly to repair, and there's no revenue, no funds to do it. And that's sort of like the backdrop. And I think of what might have happened at Aquatic Town or any site. And as you drive around, we'd want to find eyesores or damage that could perhaps have been prevented if people were more attentive. And I think of some of the matters that have come before this commission over the last 2 or 3 years, where we said, here's what we want you to do, and we asked them to do it, and they don't do it. Well, if they had a bond, perhaps they would be more attentive to that, because the bond's not going to be released until the work is done in the way it was agreed upon, in performance with the criteria established by the commission and the permit. So that's the idea. It's like, basically, we're going to have someone with skin and make them have skin in the game, make them raise the bar and say, look, you said you're going to do it right. Fine. If you don't do it right, we have recourse. So that's sort of like the backdrop. And I'm curious about any commissioners. Should we raise it? Should we just mandate bonds? I guess I'll put out the null hypothesis. Why shouldn't we require a $10,000 bond in every single application that comes before this commission? That's more a rhetorical question, but why shouldn't we require it?
Are you talking about any application or the subdivisions or the bigger ones?
Well, I'm thinking about anyone that has, impact on wetlands. Now,
Are you talking about the upland review area or actual wetlands?
actual impact on actual wetlands, working close to the wetlands. I think some of these construction that we have right on wetlands,
Right.
when something happens, and the remedies are limited. We have to go off and litigate or force them to do something. I mean,
I think it depends. That might be beyond the realm of possibility for some residents, though. I think it would depend on the scope of the project and the impact.
Of course.
Yeah, Commissioner Chapin, I was thinking the same thing. It's like, I don't disagree. It might be a good idea on, how do we make the determination who's responsible for that? And in some cases, $10,000 is not going to be, it seems like if you put it on everybody flat across the board, that people will just stop coming to wetlands and they'll just do what they need to do without going through the wetlands and trying to do the right thing. On the other hand, for some of these larger scope projects, it makes sense that we should have something in place.
Yeah.
So how do you,
Go ahead.
I don't know how you do that, or if it's even possible. I don't know with planning and zoning, when do they decide when a bond is going to be required?
Is it listed in there, Marla? Or is it just there? They don't say the criteria, what the trigger. There's no parametric threshold that says if it's a certain dollar amount, you must have one.
No, it's not. If you go to page 18, Article 3B, zoning permits, in rendering the decision, subsection D says the commission may, as a condition of approval of any special permit application, require a bond in the amount and with conditions satisfactory to it. So they're leaving themselves open for any special permit that they issue that they could require a bond. And then they go on to talk about special permits, what kinds of things they can put bonds on. They had a special portion on earth excavation and removal. And I've highlighted, I tried to highlight bond every time it showed up so you'd see where it was showing up in the language. Typically, bonds are put on for subdivisions that have road construction, for planning and zoning, gravel mining operations, or if you had a large scale development like a Walmart or something like that, that had a lot of features in it that that if they went wrong would cause a problem to the community. A lot of towns around here, because the property values are not the same as they are, say, like in Fairfield County. In Fairfield County, a lot of times they do passbook bonds or letters of credit for individual property owners, but the property owners down there have resources much more expansive than they do here. So typically, most wetlands commissions don't do them for individuals. Usually they're held for corporate entities that could slide away under a corporate veil,
Yeah.
or an LLC. It might have made sense, for example, looking backwards at Dr. Bear's property. After the first couple of instances of problems, you could have had a condition for a bond to be posted for the remainder of the work for the retaining walls that were being built. That was a possibility as a condition, but that's an unusual situation too. So I can't think of a whole lot of places other than gravel mining operations and road construction that the Wetlands Commission would have, or any large, very large earth moving activity that could cause a problem.
Yeah.
Typically, if it's a small site, the individual property owner, and somebody fills wetlands, there are remedies like issuing a cease and restore order. And you can also litigate that. You can take them to court, and the court can order the removal of the material, as it did for Charlie Paquette off of Terrace Drive 5 or 6 years ago. And there was no bond on that property, but he did end up removing and restoring the wetlands. So there are other remedies for fixing problems, which usually involve litigation, which cost a lot of resources to the town.
Right.
By
So-
way of legal costs.
I spoke to a bond expert in Philadelphia this afternoon, who's decades of experience. I said, "What do you guys think?" You know, I said, "What remedies do we have?" One topic that came up was a personal guarantee, requiring everyone to have a personal guarantee, saying, "Yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it right. I'm going to do it in accordance with that agreement. And if I don't, I'll pay the difference. And this is when I'll pay it." In other words, you rarely skip over the litigation. You have a guarantee, you have a personal assertion saying, "I will do it." Because everyone comes in here and says, "I've got this application, I want to do this." Okay, fine, go on. But I think they skip the fact that you better do it right, or the people you hire had better do it right. Because as you point out, going into litigation is a costly matter. And those folks that usually jump out are those that probably haven't done it. I've been too much involved from a commercial standpoint on behalf of my clients to get involved with this stuff. And it's time consuming, it takes years, and it's expensive usually.
But George, the problem is that sounds like a contract. And I don't believe the commission has the authority to enter into a contract. I'd have to check that on this, on the regs and the statute.
You'll have them making a warranty, have them provide a warranty with that they're going to do the job the way it's been outlined.
But is a warranty in fact a contract?
A personal guarantee. Well, that's a legal question. You know, I defer to counsel.
Mm.
What I think I would like to do is probably, you know, posit this dilemma to counsel on behalf of the town, because, you know, if folks just, it seems in some cases, you know, not being attentive to the requirements and say, "Oops, sorry about that. Yeah, we put it too far. I wasn't paying it. My contractor did it. I wasn't paying attention. Sue me." I mean, the cavalier attitude that some folks take just begs the issue, and they make, you know, I just think personal accountability, which perhaps may be a stretch in many parts of our society. Maybe it's, you know, endemic in some areas, but where's the harm in saying, "Okay, you want this application, sign here. I promise to do it the way you said, and if you don't, you can come after me." You don't have to, and oh yeah, you don't have to go to court. You just go ahead and do it. You say passbook loan, that's posing cash collateral, passbook restrictions. But this is more of a right of action and a commitment on the part of the applicant. Now, how about this? Ask the reverse question. Every person that comes before us for an application, do they come to us and says, "Hey, I'm not going to do anything I don't have to do, and I'm not going to do as much as I can unless you catch me"? I mean, that's what it feels like in some cases. We have some repeat individuals that come before us, and they just I keep wondering, what is it could we do? Is it that they have no commitment, they have no course of action, they have no downside risk? And even in tonight's discussion, we hear people saying, "Well, is this setting a precedent?" Well, maybe we set a precedent. Everyone's committed. They have to do something. Anyway, those are some thoughts. I was considering, I thought we should explore some sort of a personal commitment by the applicants so that they're aware of it. Like, for example, if you build a house here in this town, there are things you have to make sure you have workers' comp if you have employees, right? There's a variety of obligations that go with permits. The planning and zoning has got a very broad net. They tend not to, if it's not in the wetlands, it perhaps doesn't impact what we do. And doesn't appear to have any objective and ascertainable facts to require one of these things. It just says, if you feel like you need it, or if we believe it's important, which is certainly their prerogative. So I'm wondering, maybe we should give it some thought. I know we've brought it up. I'm just concerned that what are the choices? And I'd ask that our wetlands agent, or I'll even write to them if necessary, our counsel, say what remedies are there? Pass books maybe, personal guarantees maybe there are no choices. But I hate to think that, given some of the events we've seen in the last couple of years, that we feels like we're playing catch up in a lot of cases. So anyway.
Charlie Obert here. I have a quick comment. Number one is on the copy of the regulations that we see on our screen in front of us. I was on a committee that reviewed those regs all the way through, and I went back 2 or 3 times pushing to get more strict language in favor of protecting the environment of the wetlands. And I did some, but not as much as I wanted to. But the point is also, we do seem to be catching up or trying to catch up. And a lot of times it seems like, we're trying to catch some sort of a weasel who's just going to skip and dodge around us and laugh. There must be something that we can do, even though these regs that P&Z put out are new. There's provisions as they were rolled out to make sure that they review them and don't overlook problems that we might bring a problem to them now officially and say, hey, look at this. And I don't even know the details, but Marla's going to tell us about that. Gravel operation on Aquatic Farm Town Road was such a hot button item for so long. And, now it looked good the last time I drove by it, but it wasn't raining. So if we find out that they did a poor job and they got their bond back, what do we do?
Yeah. Good points. So anyway, those are the thoughts. I mean, I think we should put it on the agenda for next meeting, but think about it. And I'd like to find some, the bond thing is requiring a bond, requiring a surety or cash bond is certainly a remedy. But what do you do for the average homeowner, right? So that's where I'm thinking of some more of a more personal declaration and commitment on their part. And if the enforceability is limited, it sort of puts it out there on the record. And if we can do it, fine. If we can't, we can't, because having individuals obtain bonds may be problematic. I mean, the average homeowner doesn't have a bond relationship. And if you're a bond underwriter, if somebody calls you and says, yeah, I need this bond, for what? Construction? Who's doing the construction? It's your contractor that would have the bond relationship. And because remember, a bond is merely a guarantee. It's going to say, if they don't do the work, I'll pay. So most surety underwriters want to make sure they have recourse towards the individual doing the performance. Like if they don't do the job, they can attach their assets, their bank accounts, their investment portfolios, their real estate. There's a guarantee there. So it's not like it's not insurance, even though insurance companies operate as surety. What they do is they have lots of resources and they have the means to go after the individuals they guarantee. So it usually tends to be a commercial practice. And when you get down to individuals, whether it's professional liability or some sort of small bond, the numbers are usually fairly small. So then you're guaranteeing it. I mean, I signed a bond today for $25,000 for a governmental entity that I'm personally responsible for, but as a corporate officer, not personally, but as a corporation, that I had to guarantee it, that if we failed to do our job in accordance with the statutes, they can call upon that bond for every single event. 25,000 doesn't sound like a lot, but if you did something wrong on 30 or 40 times, you multiply it times 25 and the numbers can get up there pretty quick. So anyway, those are all the comments I have. And thank you for bringing up these points and doing the research, Marla, on the comparable. But it feels like we should, give this commission should give it some thought. Something, maybe there's no remedy, but we take to heart the comments of citizens, and when we look at the outcomes, I'm always concerned that something happens and it's left for someone else to deal with, and if we'd only get the individuals involved and their contractors, their servants, the people that they hired to do the work, to take it more seriously. Because in the case that was mentioned earlier, if the homeowner that was having the home built was more attentive to their contractors, would we be having some of the discussions we had to have? All right. If no other questions, we can move on to the next item. We talked about bonding. I think we exhausted that one. I do want to, as a deliverable on this, I'd like to explore it further, and perhaps, Marla, I'll talk to you. Maybe we can get a request to our council to see what remedies there are that are, workable for the average homeowner.
Okay.
Moving on to the next item, and status of revisions to plan of conservation and development.
This is Marla speaking. The plan of conservation and development was finalized, and the text was finalized, but apparently due to statutory requirements, it has to go out for additional review before it can actually be finally adopted. The goal was to try to get it completed by the end of last year, but because the public has a right to have input on it before it's adopted, it now is out for public review, and I don't know if that requires a hearing or not. But it is not the 2020 to 2030 plan of conservation. The next 10 years of plan of conservation development have not gone final yet. But stay tuned, keep an eye open. I'm sure on the town's planning department, they will have information about what the status of the plan of conservation and development is and what kind of input that the public can put in on it before it actually becomes finalized in a formal sense.
Marla and George, this is Amy St. Ange. Just to let you know, there is going to have to be a public hearing. I believe because it had to be 65 days after notification to NECOG and the Board of Selectmen. So I think at this point, we're looking at the beginning of March for a public hearing.
Thank you, Amy.
I know a lot of work went into that POCD, and that a lot of folks put a lot of time and effort, and it seems a very comprehensive and well thought out plan. So hopefully it will move on and be part of our planning for the future. All right. So that was the status revisions on POCD. Next item is reports, budget and expenditures.
You want to recap, or do we have that from above?
I think we already covered it.
We did.
All right. Then let's move on to wetlands agent report.
Okay, for updates, there's been no change in the status of the court appeal on River Junction Estates, nor have I made any progress on the MS4 annual report, but we are going to combine last year's annual report with this year's annual report, so there'll be one for 2019 and 2020. And hopefully I'll be able to get to that very shortly, because we need to get it posted online very soon for public input. And on the pre-1990 file destruction, I've started to do work on that again because I am running out of file space again. And so I do have to start getting rid of more files. Fran, you had indicated a willingness to help me out on that, and I was wondering if you're still available.
I am, but I saw
making.
I'm kind of the town hall. I'm not sure about the status, so I don't know what the availability of being able to go in there is.
Yeah, with the town hall being closed, that's made it a lot more complicated. I've only gone in and shut my door so that I don't get exposed to anybody, but I can talk to you outside of the meeting to talk
Sure.
about how we might be able to work something out at least.
Yep.
Um, Update on North Groserdale Pond Dam, following the heavy rains and snow melt during Christmas. The dam was inspected by Steve Soroka, a professional engineer from Ty and Bond Inc. And he looked at it on the 24th, Christmas Eve, and on the 26th after the storm was gone, for the dam owner. On the 26th, apart from the increased water heights in the impoundment, and the increased seepage at the intersection of the primary right spillway training wall and the downstream masonry wall, which he attributed that increased leakage due to an increase in the water surface elevation in the impoundment. There were no other noticeable changes observed when compared to the pre-storm inspection of 12/24, Christmas Eve. So it was good that there's been no further deterioration of the dam. And that was good to know that there was an engineer looking at it. On follow-up actions and inspections, on complaint 20-05, that was the dumping of manure in wetlands
Yeah.
off of Hiawatha Drive. As you recall, I was going to try to look at that with Carolyn Wurge. It was the reported dumping of manure, but I had found that there was a lot of, Charlie and I had visited the site and there had been a lot of brush and debris dumped. Well, today I inspected the site. I still found no evidence of any manure. However, there's been recent dumping of brush and leaves and woody debris on the top of the slope, and it's reaching the swamp located at the toe of the slope. It's difficult to tell what the extent of the material is that has already been placed, how far it goes into wetlands or into the swamp. Over time, this organic matter will decompose. So I'm planning on sending a request to the Public Works Director to block the entrance to this town-owned property. That is on Assessor's Map 141, Block 17, and it includes 3 lots that the town owns there near the reservoir. Lot 126, lot 127, and lot 128. And I'm going to ask him to post no dumping signs. It looks like it's a neighborhood thing that rather than taking it for the transfer station, they're dumping it there. If the problem continues, I'll bring it back to the commission's attention. Complaint 820-18, that was a structure being built in Jerry Swamp. This complaint is still under investigation to determine who is responsible for the construction. I believe that the property owner, what I'm going to do is send an letter of inquiry to who I believe is the property owner upon which the structure sits to see if I can get any input. That property owner happens to live in Woodstock, so it shouldn't be that difficult to get a response. Okay, permit IWA 19004, that's the Strategic Commercial Realty Inc. property at 363 Quaddock Town Farm Road. During the heavy rains of Christmas, it was reported that the silt fencing that was installed to protect the nearby pond had failed and sediment was discharged into the nearby pond. In addition to communicating via email with the Strategic Commercial Realty staff people, I inspected the site on December 29th, 2020, and found that the silt fence had already been repaired, and there was turbid water in the pond. By pushing a stick into the pond, it disappeared at about 13 inches, and that indicates that the amount of turbidity that was in the pond. The pond was not muddy, what I would call muddy. It was slightly turbid. I found no evidence of sand or gravel reaching the pond. There's quite a distance between where the silt fence failed and where the pond is, and it's a manicured field, fully grassed, and it seemed like nothing even reached it in there. The level of the pond was high, almost reaching the pavement on Quaddock Town Farm Road. And this was on the 29th, well after the rainfall had stopped. I informed the Public Works Director, who told me that the cross culvert draining under the pond was failing and it needed to be replaced. but he was waiting for the mining operation to be complete before replacing it. George has shared a picture of the site, and you can actually see the hay bales that are there in front of the silt fence. Because there's an outlet control structure for the pond associated with a cross culvert, it will likely need an engineered design and a wetlands permit. Subsequent to my inspection on the 29th, I requested and Strategic Commercial Realty made modifications to the silt fencing by installing guy wires to the fencing stakes and providing added support and filtration by backing up the silt fence with a staked hay bale check dam. And I inspected that site today and confirmed that the modifications were done as I had requested. And the picture that you see now on your screen, go back to the pond.
Oops, okay. Let me just expand it.
That's okay.
What do you know? Whenever
It's
I
there.
want to do this,
You had a
it's here.
picture of it.
I know it. Hold on.
But you can see there's quite a good grass
there.
field between the silt fence and the pond. Pond being in the right-hand side of the picture that you're seeing.
It doesn't want to cooperate with me.
In any case, the picture they showed of the pond did show some of the turbidity that was in the pond, and that's about what it looked like on the 29th when I saw it.
Yeah, that was frozen, actually. This was on Saturday. I'm trying to get to the pond, and for some reason, it doesn't want to cooperate. I've got these things in my way. There it is. Okay.
You took these pictures, George?
I did. There's one side. That's not so good. Let's try this one. There's nothing on that one. Yeah, let's try this.
Well, in any case, the pond level today was closer to normal. And that was it for the site. So I'm just going to keep an eye on that site and see if that's the picture. You just got to move over. Yeah, it is iced over.
It was ice. Yeah, it was just.
But
just
now
low.
it has
had cold
dropped
weather.
back down. Originally, it was flooding all these trees. The trees were in standing water
Wow.
when I was out there on the 29th.
Anyway, the grass is sort of growing back a bit.
I did 4 building permit reviews, and there was nothing of miscellaneous to report. And we've paid off some Stonebridge Press legal notices. I've encumbered another 40 for the Merrick wetlands agent approval, but there will be others that will be coming through. So that's about it for the wetlands agent report.
Okay. Any questions or additional questions? Next item is correspondence.
There was none.
No correspondence. Signing of Mylars.
There's none.
Comments by commissioners.
I have one. If anybody will recall the report that came in from Orla, and at the bottom of the page was a logo, which has been developed by Economic Development Commission Branding Committee. And we are asking, in fact, Amy St. Odge is still on, I believe. We're asking that all the boards and commissions incorporate that logo into their letterhead. Tira Penn has developed a couple of different looks that we're hopeful.
Page 79, George.
79. Okay, let me find it.
We're hopeful that each of the boards and commissions will be able to find one that they can agree with. And here it is.
Well, there it is. Okay.
So there is an effort being made to emphasize our outdoor recreation, our agriculture, and our industrial heritage. And we put them all in there. Yeah, we could have put some more things. We could put a golf course or some other things, but This is something that we believe is an effective image for our town moving forward. And
I have a question. Is that we can't use our inland wetland logo either?
no, I think we could use
Yes, you
both.
can.
I
Okay.
think we could use one on there's a way that we can do both, I'm sure. But I don't have a copy of it. There's a PowerPoint that we talked about, and I believe that the intent was that it would have been available to download and have it there. Tomorrow night, I think, next week, there's the EDC meeting, and I will ask what is the next step on this. Or if Amy St. Ange is still on, she's aware of that part of it. Is a branding plan has been presented to the town, and we've been talking about several of the elements of it. The revision of the P&Z regs, the sidewalks, the logo. There's a lot of things in there. It's a very comprehensive plan, as are the other programs that we've been talking about tonight. So I said that I would at least talk about that. There you go.
I like your logo. Go
So,
ahead.
This is Amy St. Ange. Thank you, Charlie, so much for bringing that up. It's a great logo. I'm not familiar with the Inlands Wetlands logo. I think if I saw it, I'd remember what it looks like. But the whole idea is recognition of Thompson, and I think eventually to transition everybody to using this logo is very important. I just had Dave Labs. He did a piece for me for my office, and that logo is now in the back wall of my office. So it's great work. EDC did a great job. EDC Branding did a great job putting that together. I'm really proud of it. You guys did a great job.
Is it copyrighted? Trade press? Service mark?
I don't know if it has been, but it's a good point.
Well, it's an observation. I get involved with this, and if you guys need the attorneys to do it, I don't think you need a national trademark, but in the state of Connecticut, it's pretty easy. You can go and register it, register your mark, your logo, your slogan, put it up there, okay? So it's on your Secretary of State's website, and probably, $100 or whatever it is, it's nominal. It costs you more money and hours to put it together, but if someone likes it, you don't want people grabbing it and using it unless you want to license it or something, but that's another issue. But just an observation. It's a good looking art. And in the Wetlands logo trademark, or I should say, I don't know if we call it a trademark, but it's a heron with a profile of with grass, I think is what it is. Isn't that correct?
That's all you had to say was the herring. Then I remembered.
There you go. But I know that was there. But this is great. And, in business, we get involved with all sorts of I've got several of them that have trademarked nationwide. It gets expensive. So, but it's cheap for Connecticut if it's a statewide thing. I guess the concern, of course, is that people jump in. Go ahead.
All of the templates that I have that had the old logo for the town of Thompson, Connecticut, they all have to be revised. And so all the word templates that I have to be changed. Up to date, no one has come to my office. Amy, I know that Tara was going to do it, but she hasn't done it yet. To download the icons or the template for the new logo so that I can embed it to change all those templates. So I'm still kind of waiting on that. I think it kind of fell off the radar screen. It was going to be done right after the new year came in.
You're right. So we'll make sure we re-energize that and get that done for you, Marla.
Okay.
Typically, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Typically, we use two logos. We use the town's logo and we use the Wetlands Heron logo. And it depends on whether or not they're across from each other at the top of the page, or the town's logo is at the top and the Wetlands is at the bottom. It's variable.
And
But,
clearly, if you're looking at the web, that was a live shot of our website. We haven't completely done the
Yeah.
transition to the website yet, so
I just wanted to
there's a lot
check.
of work still to be done.
Okay, well, it's a process, right? I mean, it's easy to snap your fingers and do it, but you don't realize all the implications, right? All the different changes. It's like changing address. It costs you $50,000 to change all the documents.
Yeah.
Um,
every time DEP changed its logo, it cost them because they had to get rid of all their old printed paper. We don't have any printed paper, so it's just changing the electronic versions.
yeah.
Right, and any
that takes
printed,
time.
any printed letterhead or anything like that, we're gonna use what we've got before we
Yeah.
make the transition, so.
Yeah, it's costly. Yeah, I mean, we just moved offices in Maryland and to DC, and we got the new landlord to pay for it. It wasn't cheap. Okay, so that's that. It's a great little logo. I'd look at having someone check in. I mean, the council could probably do that for whoever put it together should know about that. But anyway, okay, so we talked about comments by commissioners. Any other comments? Last call. Okay, hearing none. Do I have a motion for an adjournment?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. No opposition. Do I hear opposition? Hearing no opposition, this meeting is concluded at 9:01 p.m. on January 12th. Thank you very much.
Good night, everybody. Stay
Aye.
safe.
You bet.